Howdy everyone, and welcome to another Lupin TV video. Today I want to do a little bit of a walkthrough just on my thoughts on the talent builds for Balanced Druid and how they look as far as leveling goes in Dragonflight, which is very close, almost like 24 hours to go, at least the time of me recording this video. So I'm going to just kind of walk through at least what my thoughts are on how I'm going to set my talents for Dragonflight. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and jump into it. And just kind of give you guys, once again, my thoughts in the background too. So obviously we're going to start with Moonkin form here, and then the increased damage and healing too. So what are some things we're looking for? Well, we're obviously looking for things like quick burst damage, because mobs are not going to be living for long. Movement speed is also super helpful as well, and not obviously handicapping ourselves too much on sacrificing some damage talents for some movement talents or even healing too, because healing will be at least a little bit needed. We don't really care for hibernate. We do definitely want rejuve, probably swift bend too, just because it's kind of that quick snap healing. Improved bark skin's not bad per se, but I think really where I want to try to get to is over here to the cat form if we can. So we'll pick up improved bark skin. Frenzy regen and bark skin increased all healing received. That's not bad too. We'll select that for now. I personally like Tiger's Dash, and then obviously the increased range on all of our abilities, and then we want Sunfire for sure. Improved Sunfire, affecting all enemies. When you level, sometimes there are situations where there are going to be multiple enemies stacked, but we'll skip out for now. I really like Typhoon personally, and then we still need 7 more talents too. So the question is, can we make it to Feline Swiftness? We can. Awesome. And we really won't be spending too much time in cat form, so I don't know how useful Tireless Pursuit is really. Reduced damage would be nice, but I kind of like the movement speed over the damage. Same with physical damage and armor increased. So I think we will actually take, the improved Sunfire, and then we still have 1 more talent, which I'm actually debating on taking the Decurse too. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Remove Corruption. Okay, cool. Well, you can see we're kind of locked a bit here, so I'm actually going to take that point out, remove Corruption, and go back to Soothe. Stamping Roar is good just for that kind of quick burst speed. And then Lycera's teachings, we really like that. We don't necessarily need Wild Growth, nor did we really get it through here. Same with the increased Rejuve. Innervate's not going to be doing a whole lot for us. But Vortex or Mass Entanglement for sure, and then I think our other one is going to be Renewal for some of that quick snap healing. And then I actually like Vortex more just because Mass Entanglement will break on roots, like on damage you do too. So yeah, we like that. So just to recap kind of what we went down here. We picked up Feral Swiftness. We're not going to be really using Rip Break and Thrash too much, but we just like that increased movement speed. We got some extra healing from our bark skin with quick swift mends. I always like Rejuve swift mend, just for some quick initial burst healing. And then we obviously pick up our core talents as Moonkin. The increased damage and healing is really nice. The increased range on our abilities is great. The knockback with Typhoon is great. Sunfire with the AoE Sunfire is really nice, and then Vortex. Now, there's some merit to trying to get down to Nature's Vigil. I just don't think that personally it's better than Innervate, than Renewal, and then what else we would need to drop, which is probably just 1 point out of Teachings. So we really like that for our class build. Let's move into the spec tree now. One nice thing about Moonkin, at least when their spec tree is these first couple are pretty obvious, right? So Shooting Stars makes a lot of sense. We want to take that. Starfall makes a lot of sense, and same with Nature's Balance. Getting that AP constantly building up when we're out of combat, because we will be in and out of combat pretty frequently. We'll take the 2 points into Solstice just because, getting those huge, getting that Shooting Stars rolling is always really good. We don't need the increased Moonfire and Sunfire from Ethereal Kindling. Mobs are really not going to be living long. It's not like this is some raid boss or high-end Mythic Plus. So we're there. As far as Lunar Shrapnel goes, this is actually not a bad one to consider. Same with Umbral's Embrace. I think we're going to have to pick up Stellar Flare just to get down here, but we really want to at least pick up 1 point so we to get the Solar Beam. So Umbral Intensity just increases the damage of Wrath and Solar and increases the crit chance of Starfire. We'll for sure take at least that to get the Solar Beam. We also like picking up Orbit Breaker off to the side here. There is some merit to picking up Force of Nature, I think too. So I'm kind of going to keep that in our back pocket. Also too, with just Astral Commune, getting that quick generation of AP just to burst something down would be really nice. The Twin Moons is also worth consideration too. I definitely think we take Stellar Intervention here. And then also Star-Lord. Well, we obviously want CA. Now here becomes kind of the two here, which is Orbital Strike versus Pulsar. I personally think that Orbital Strike is going to be better. Getting that 60 seconds off of your Celestial Guidance or alignment, excuse me, is huge. So Orbital Strike for sure, and just like that initial burst to get your Stellar Flare rolling on a target is fantastic. Nature's Grace is a really solid pickup too. And then I do think that we at least get Lunar Shrapnel to get either Rattle the Stars or Starweaver. Now, Starweaver, Star Search has a 20% chance to make Starfall free, and then vice versa. For Starfall is a 40% chance to make Star Search free, or Star Search, Starfall reduce the cost of Star Search and Starfall by 5%. Now, one thing I'll mention is that at least with leveling, right, it's kind of quick initial damaging we're doing here. Maybe on the occasion you're fighting the elite or something like that. So really Rattle's not going to help us much. I do think it's Starweaver. Okay, we've got 9 points left. I don't think that we're necessarily missing anything too crucial right now. Just to speak to Stellar Flare really quick. Stellar Flare is good in single target. I just don't know how often we're going to be applying it. So let's look at some other things just to make sure we're good. Star-Lord constantly running too, I think is definitely great. And then also Soul. Let's see, we need 2 more points to get to the next threshold here. I actually like Soul of the Forest, I think, for leveling a bit more. Twin Moons, I think, without this. So I'm leaning towards Twin Moons and Soul of the Forest right now. There is some justification for, do we want to pick up Force of Nature? I like that option too, just because it could be a quick way to get things off of us, and it has a very short cooldown. It's only 1 minute and generates 20 astral power. Decisions. I actually like the Force of Nature pickup, I think, too. Waning Twilight, really not worth picking up at all if we're not taking Stellar Flare, because you need 3 periodic effects. We really just have the 2, unless we were to go down here to Astral Smolder, which we probably won't, and we just need it. So really it's between, I think, in my opinion, Twin Moons right now or Astral Commune, just for that snappy, quick astral power generation. I think I'm going to go with Twin Moons. I like the increased damage on Moonfire, and we know we're going to be applying Moonfire and Sunfire constantly. Okay. Circle of Life and Death really just increases your damage over time effects, and they deal the same amount, they deal their damage in 25% the less of the time. So because things are going to be dying quick, I do think that this is worth picking up. Now, between Incarn or Convoke, I think there is justification to pick either, just to be clear. I do think, though, Convoke is going to help us more with that healing, like I was saying, too. This kind of like doubles down on just, heavy CD usage, whereas Convoke, I think, is going to give us a little bit more flexibility, too, so that we don't feel like we have to pick that up. Now we got 3 points left, and this is where we start to get to some of our capstones. We've got Power of Goldrin, which there is some justification to. We are going to be casting Star Search quite frequently. We have Astral Smolder, which I'm debating on picking up 1 point of. The point, or at least I think what we'll see as we level, right, is your secondary stats naturally get pushed down as we level. So looking at, Astral Smolder, yes, early on it will probably be very good, but it will probably fall off very quickly once that crit percentage gets pushed down with each level. So I actually think it's not really worth it. I do think at least taking 1 point in Balance of All Things is beneficial. And the reason I say this is because we're going to be starting any pull We do by going into balance of all things. So meaning Starfire, and then going into our solar eclipse to lay down Rast or Star Search, or vice versa. So I do think balance of all things. Also, it has some great synergy with Convoke too, because we would start a eclipse and then immediately press Convoke. We wouldn't press Convoke before our eclipse. Now we have 2 points left. There is justification for sure on Convoke, reducing that cooldown. I really like that one a lot. And then we also, I don't really think Moons is worth picking up. I don't think Fury of Elun's picking up. Wild Mushrooms, a pretty interesting choice. I think it's nice initial burst, quick damage, but we're already getting that from our Starfall quite a bit too. So I don't know that we need that. And then same with Sundered Firmament. Creating a Fury of Elun at 20% of effectiveness, I don't know how beneficial that's going to be a lot of times. So I like Elun's Guidance as another pick, and I'm actually leaning towards the Denizens of the Dream here. Having just some other chip damage while you level can be very good. We've already talked about Astral Smolder and just why I don't think that's beneficial. So it's really between Goldrin, and Denizen of the Dream. I think we like Goldrin actually a little bit better. I don't, usually you're AoEing down a couple targets, but then still casting Starfire. Moonfire and Sunfire being up for a very long time, I don't think is super valuable. So I actually like the Goldrin. So just to recap kind of what we did here, we got our Nature's Balance. We picked up our Umbral Intensity too, just for that increased damage. We picked up the whole left side just to get our Shooting Stars into more Shooting Stars during Eclipse, into Orbit Breaker, which is fantastic. I like picking up Force of Nature the more I've talked about it in this video, just because to have that initial round up 3 or 4 mobs, pop Force of Nature, and then just start laying into them with Starfalls and everything, I think looks great. Stellar Innovation, perfectly fine. We got our big CDs rolling here and our reduced Celestial Alignment 2 minute, which is going to be helpful. Nature's Grace always feels good to press. Circle of Life and Death, things are going to be dying quick. We got our quick Convokes going too, and then 1 point balance of all things just to get that initial crit anytime we're going into an Eclipse, and then finally Power of Goldrin, and then Star-Lord for that more single target focus. So I feel like with this build, we've got a very healthy mix of single target and AoE. On the class side, we've got our movement speed with some of our healing and some of our damaging abilities. So overall, I really like this. Maybe I tweak it. Maybe I pick up something like Umbral Embrace while we're moving through leveling, but all in all, I like this. Now, once we level, where do we pick up points, right? Well, I think this is where we can start looking maybe back into here and getting natural recovery. Going to be more helpful for sure as we are leveling, and getting to those higher levels where our gear is not, helping us or nearly as much. So I kind of like putting points there. We could also just go straight to the end of the tree and get Innervate Nature's Vigil. Nature's Vigil's great spell to use when we're just trying to single target, pull a couple mobs, and then we're healing ourselves, right, for all that single target damage we're doing. On the spec tree side, I like personally getting Denizens of the Dream and Friend of the Fae. Remember, once again, as we get closer to higher levels, it's going to be more, mobs are going to be living for longer and longer. So I do think things like Denizens of the Dream, Friend of the Fae, and maybe Stellar Flare even make a lot of sense. Or if we want maybe more control, we can come back up here, get Ethereal Kindling, maybe the Shrooms, something like that. So I'll kind of be messing with things as I go through and level, but I want to make this video just to walk through. This is like my first time really spending a lot of just focus on leveling, and there are definitely some Wowhead guides that just kind of pre-cut everything. But I want you all to at least hear my thoughts and just kind of get excited, obviously, for Dragonflight, which by the time this video launches, it should be coming out in like 24 hours. So all in all, check into the stream. I'll have that going while I level. Earn that Feldrake mount too. All you got to do is watch me for 4 hours, and then you'll get that Twitch drop, which I'll have enabled. And then, yeah, just once again, looking forward to Dragonflight. We are at Dragonflight Eve right now. So I will see you all on the Dragon Isles.